so far. How likely is it that these strikes will stop these militia attacks, or do they really sort of set the stage for more retaliation from Iran?
Yeah, Aaron, that's the right question. And the short answer is nobody knows. A brand new president, super hardliner, known as the Butcher of Tehran. He was a prosecutor who signed the death warrants for tens of thousands of protesters. Ibrahim Raisi is his name. And as he takes power, he's playing to his base at home. He wants to show he's that tough hardliner, and he's very ambitious. He wants to take the place of Ayatollah Khamenei, who is the current supreme leader. So I think, and this is still supposition at this point, he's going to play a very hard game. And therefore, I think you're going to see more strikes. You're going to see escalation, potentially some strikes against Israel, our ally in the region. This is a new leader. He will feel he's being tested by the United States. This is not going to just quietly go away.
And then, Admiral, there are the nuclear talks between the U.S. and Iran and a proxy. But I mean, they're really hanging by a thread right now. What's your sense of the potential impact all this activity could have on those talks?
Yeah, clearly it's not going to encourage sudden culmination of the deal. However, I think the long-term incentives on both sides do run toward coming to a conclusion in this negotiation. The Iranians desperately need to get out from under economic sanctions that we and our allies have imposed on them. On our side, the Biden administration does not want to open another war in the Middle East. There are bigger incentives, strategic ones, if you will, that I think will allow us to conclude that deal toward the end of the year. But certainly this is a tactical bump in the road.
Admiral James Stavridis, Admiral, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
Now to South Florida, where we're learning new details about the apartment building collapse in Surfside. Officials saying a 10th person has been confirmed dead. First responders are searching the rubble right now. They're using dogs. They're using sonar technology, all to try and locate the missing. More than 150 people are still unaccounted for at this hour. And there are several apartment buildings that neighbor the collapsed building here that you're looking at right now. They were built around the same time. And this is causing concerns that these buildings may also potentially be unsafe. NBC News correspondent Ellison Barber joins us now from Surfside, Florida. So, Ellison, what is the latest there from the ground?
Hey, Lindsay, yeah, we just got an update within the last hour from officials here in Florida. As you mentioned, they said that the death toll has now risen to 10. They have recovered another body. We don't know the names of all of those people, but we do know some of them. These are brothers, they are sisters, they are grandparents, mother, father, some of them members of the same family. 10 people all lost their lives sleeping on Thursday night. I want to read for you the names that we do have here. Stacy Fang, Antonio Lozano, Gladys Lozano, Manuel Lafont, Leon Olivkovich, Luis Bermudez, Anna Ortiz, Christina Beatriz Elvira. 151 people are still unaccounted for. It has been 5 days since the South Tower collapsed. Search team rescuers, they are still out working and are adamant that they have not given up hope and that this remains a search and rescue mission. But as the minutes, the days tick by, families are understandably more and more concerned, more and more worried. The mayor of Surfside recently said that they do not have a resource problem here. Not only do they have Miami-Dade's world-renowned search and rescue team, they also have help from across the state as well as abroad. Teams from Mexico and Israel are now on the ground helping in this search effort as well. The mayor here has said the only thing that they've had problem-wise is a luck problem, and what they need right now are miracles every single day. Again, 151 people are still unaccounted for. Yesterday, the families of the missing were able to go to what's left of the South Tower of this condominium to see it, to see some of the efforts on the ground. As officials talked about that moment, they said that this was the chance for people to be close, to feel close to their loved ones, for some of them to maybe get a renewed sense of hope, for others to grasp the gravity of the situation on the ground and maybe start the process of grieving. Lindsay?
I can't even imagine how hard it was for those family members to see that up close. Ellison, we know that there are other neighboring buildings in the area. There's even a sister building nearby. What are officials saying about those buildings?
Yeah, I mean, this condominium, the South Tower is what collapsed. The North Tower is still standing, and there is not a mandatory evacuation in that tower. People have been told they can voluntarily evacuate. The mayor of Surfside has said that if he lived in that part of the condo, he would opt to leave. But he has also said that to his knowledge, there are no concerns right now, safety issues or worries about that North Tower collapsing. But our colleague Antonia Hilton has been speaking to residents, not only in that condo, in that part of the condo, but also who live in nearby condos, about their concerns and their fears staying where they live. Listen here.
We have 3 identical buildings next to each other, and if this is a structural problem that they have from the past, it can be affecting the other 2 buildings as well. So this is pretty scary.
Do you think you're going to feel comfortable moving back here after some time?
I have to. At least for a while, I have to. And I don't know what will happen with all these people that have their apartments still there with all their belongings inside. It's never going to be the same.
And the mayor of Surfside has said that Job 1 is trying to find anyone who is still alive, trying to save lives. Job 2 is comforting grieving families. And Job 3 is figuring out exactly what happened that led to this collapse. But obviously, for residents, that's a question many want answers for sooner rather than later, particularly those who live nearby and who may now have concerns and questions about their own building and some of the ignored warnings as it relates to the condominium that did collapse from back in 2018. A lot of questions still unanswered right now as teams continue to work every second, despite the bad weather today, to try and find anyone who may still be alive under the rubble.
I mean, the
Lindsay?
bad weather there all weekend, but just to reiterate what rescue crews told you, at this point, we need a miracle. Ellison, thanks so much.
The historic heat wave baking the Northwest isn't loosening its grip just yet. Portland's average June temperature is in the 70s. On Sunday, it hit 112 degrees, its highest ever. This had some people checking their calendars.
It's warm like this in July, August, not in June. Usually we've got June gloom, right?
Now, both sides of the country are feeling the heat, with advisories posted in the Northwest and the Northeast for tens of millions of people. Cooling centers are opening. People are flocking to beaches, desperate to keep cool from coast to coast. Let's check in now with NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns for the latest on this dangerous heat wave, and it's going to keep a grip on us for a little while longer, Bill.
Yeah, forget the calendar. People are checking where they live. Make sure they're in the right city, the right location. So here we go. Let's update the new updated hourly temperatures. 94 right now. So now we're at the 10 a.m. hour in Seattle and in Portland. It's 110 in Palm Springs, which is ridiculous by its own means. But it's really the Northwest, which has just been so exceptional. Obviously, we have all these people under impact, under warnings from the Northwest through California. But it's the Northwest that this is just, I can't express how off the charts record-breaking this is. So the all-time hottest temperature ever in Portland, going back over 100 years, was 107 degrees in 1981. And then we had this weekend where it went 108, 112, and then today it'll be 113. We'll have 3 days in a row hotter than it's ever been before, and it'll be 6 degrees warmer than ever before, which is almost unheard of. That's only been equaled once or twice in our country's history, with a major climate site being 6 degrees warmer than the previous all-time high. So, I mean, as I said, this is just unprecedented heat wave. So today, Portland, close 114. Seattle, by the way, if you're 110, you'll be 7 degrees warmer than the previous all-time record high, which will break the record, by the way, for the biggest spread compared to normal. And it's not exactly cool around the rest of the country. It's 101, it feels like, in Newark, Boston, 104. And let me remind you, the temperature is taken in the shade. All of these temperatures are in the shade. If you're standing in the sun, it's even worse. And the heat index obviously makes it feel dangerous. We got 32 million people in Northeast under heat advisories. And the other story, we do have a tropical depression that formed, and that's going to make landfall. There's no eye. There's not a lot of bad winds. They're going to have some rip current threats. But what this system will do, it'll add even more humidity to the eastern half of the country. And over the next 4 to 5 days, we are going to get soaked everywhere in yellow and orange is 2 to 3 inches of rain. And unfortunately, guys, a lot of this rain is going to linger in the Ohio Valley and the Northeast right through the 4th of July weekend. So we'll talk more about that later this week. But right now, we'll still deal with this just, I don't even know what to call it anymore. It's unprecedented, epic, however you want to describe this heat wave. I hope we never, ever see anything like this again.
I'm with you on that. Bill Cairns for us today. Bill, thanks. Former President Donald Trump hitting the road and going on the attack at a rally.
At the same time, his legal team faces a deadline to convince New York prosecutors not to charge his organization. We'll have the latest next.
Are you ready?
Monday boost?
Are you ready for a boost?
How do you feel about that book?
We love those nurses. That was beautiful.
Right now on NBC News Now.
They've done things like installing cameras to help alert Border Patrol to people crossing.
They are escaping a number of conditions there, violence and persecution in their home countries.
For breaking news in our changing world, download the NBC News app.
Right now on NBC News Now.
They are escaping a number of conditions there, violence and persecution in their home countries.
They are speaking out against laws that they feel would make it harder for Texas voters to cast their ballot.
There's excitement that we are now turning the corner. We heard the mask mandate and mask guidance coming from the CDC earlier today.
We have a team of correspondents covering this breaking story for us today.
Well, this is a heck of a cast.
Andy Cohen, welcome to the 6-Minute Marathon.
Ridiculous.
The Meet the Press Chuck Toddcast, free wherever you get your podcasts.
400 years ago, my ancestor founded our town. Anyone see the resemblance? I am the steward of my family's legacy.
And you have a museum.
You're going to get yours too.
The only native artifacts in here are those bangs.
There's something happening in that town. This is a story about stories.
Damn, the podcasting voice is very manipulative.
It may be 2021, but former President Trump is talking 2024. He was in Ohio this weekend for his first rally since leaving office.
Joe Biden is destroying our nation right before our very own eyes. The number one priority for everyone who wants to save America is to pour every single ounce of energy you have into winning a gigantic victory in the midterms and in 2024.
The former president was there to campaign for one of his former staffers and against a Republican House member who voted to impeach him following the Capitol riot. This is the first of many events for the former president. He plans to visit the U.S.-Mexico border this week and has another rally this weekend in Florida.
Meanwhile, it is deadline day for an important part of the investigation into former President Trump's organization. The Washington Post reporting prosecutors are giving Trump's